Welcome to the cottage of chaos and mayhem. The kids are the chaos and honestly, the rest is just mayhem. And yes, that is my foot in a boot. And it's now getting into spring and I'm still building a van while the weather's all over the place and I still have a broken foot. Questionable? Absolutely. But this is me turning a decommissioned ambulance into our little family adventure cottage. Slowly, practically, and with a fair bit of laughter along the way. So if you're here for learning, problem solving, and a slightly unhinged build process, welcome. You're in the right place. So, as a quick recap as to where we're up to on the outside of the van, we have removed all of the stickers, all of the decals, so it's looking less and less like an ambulance every day. However, the decals left a lot of adhesive, especially when I was using the heat gun. So now I have a whole load of adhesive to get rid of. And I thought, this may be the ideal time because I'm getting lots of suggestions as to how best to remove the adhesive from my van. I am going to test these and I'm going to see what works. So that's what I've done. Because I want to save you the time and the money and the effort and the disappointment of everything going wrong, I have tested 3 different suggestions that were made to me. The first being WD-40, which you can see me spraying here. Now, WD-40 worked really well on the front cap, on the adhesive remaining on the front cab area. It worked really well there. It didn't work well anywhere else. It was a scrub, it was a nightmare, it just wasn't removing anything, and I ended up with what I can only describe as being like brownish snot balls on my rag. After scrubbing a lot, it was not going anywhere. It was a nightmare. 10 out of 10, would definitely never recommend to anyone, but that was the first suggestion that was made to me on removing the leftover adhesive. And just to be sure, I did try it over 2 days. So this was 2 days worth of work using WD-40 and I was just not getting very far at all. So it really lengthened the process. There wasn't much adhesive coming off. It was just not working. So on to the next suggestion that was made to me. Welcoming to the stage, Glean Sticky Stuff Remover. And yeah, I had high hopes because it had such good reviews and quite a few people recommended it to me. Again, we weren't making it very far. We were making it a bit further than we were with the WD-40. It was removing some of the adhesive on the actual, well, on the majority of the van, and that was great. But again, we were ending up with, it was even worse than the WD-40. We were ending up with huge snot balls on the rag. It was sticky. It was horrible. And it just was not working as well as we intended. There was areas where it just didn't seem to lift adhesive at all. And so it was just not working. With the Glean, someone suggested to apply it and then to leave it for a few minutes and then use a sponge with hot, very soapy water. Doesn't work either. It did not make an ounce of difference. So I can safely say Glean may work for other adhesive removals. It did not work in this case at all. Not, well, it did to a degree, but not all that great. So next up is the third suggestion that was made to us, which was Goo Gone. And it was by far the reigning champion in this whole debacle of removing the adhesive because it worked pretty well. Yes, we still were getting these snot balls, but they weren't as often and it was much faster. The adhesive was coming off quite quickly. We weren't having to scrub and scrub and scrub, reapply, scrub and scrub and scrub like we were having to do with Glean. And well, with WD-40, you could scrub, reapply, scrub, reapply, scrub, reapply, and you would still not get very far. So Goo Gone, it worked. It was removing it with very little difficulty, and yeah, it is the reigning champion of this little experiment. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, do press that like button and subscribe, and stay tuned for more of my van content as this build is slowly coming together. I hope to release more videos like this which show you what works and what doesn't, and explains just the difference between them. If you did find this useful and you are looking at decal removals, I would highly recommend that you go and check out my video, wallpaper steamer versus heat gun, which works better, what are the pros and cons, etc. I also have my crochet content where I upload a tutorial every Wednesday, and yes, you will see crochet in my van. And I hope you enjoy watching the story unfold as we turn this ex-ambulance into the cottage of chaos and mayhem on wheels. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.